welcome to the Macro Chat Live Show. Look who I have in the house. I don't know where he's at. Oh, he's over this way. Wait, that way. It's Peter Bartlett, and you are going to be so excited because I am about his images. We're going to dive in deep with Peter's work, what his thought process is, a bunch of fun tools, whatever it is about Peter, it's all about tonight. So thank you so much for joining. I've got on my laptop, because I don't know if you guys remember the last show, I was kind of like screwing things up, Peter, and I couldn't even see the chat. It was pretty bad. I was just telling Peter before the show that I'm not very technical, so we have AD Wheeler rocking the behind the scenes, thank God. So before we dive into you, Peter, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a quick promo, and we'll see who's around, and then we'll dive into you. Today's Macro Photography Live Chat Show is brought to you by Adventurers of the F-Stop, a $29 monthly membership to elevate your macro and landscape photography and business skills. Just go to membership.sullivanjphotography.com and check out all the details to push your creations in 2018. Oh my gosh, Siri, you rock. Becky, you rock. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. Becky is our #1 person. She's here at every macro show. And Siri is from Norway. That girl's rocking. It's what, 3 a.m. or something? 2 a.m., Siri? So thank you so much for coming. You're going to love Peter's work. He has some really, really awesome stuff. So I want to thank you guys. I actually am on Facebook. I was telling them we could not get Facebook going. So if you guys are on Facebook, we are actually here. It's been like maybe 3 or 4 shows where Facebook's not working. It's only been YouTube. Periscope, I've been having so much problems. But Peter, we're going to talk about you. I am so excited. I've got your website going. Yes, you're welcome. Yes, I've been I have to tell you, so what I do is I love macro photography close-up. So this show is about close-up, macro, and micro photography. And I did a search. I always search around for macro photographers. There, it's sad. I don't know if you feel this way, Peter, but when I look for, for instance, Facebook, I'm trying to do tags. Nature photography, portrait photography. I try to type in macro photography, nothing. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. There's some amazing macro photographers like you out there.
Well, there's very limited resources on YouTube for macro photography.
I know. I can't believe it. I saw you on 500, which I'm going to, everybody, I will put Peter's links below this video. And what I love about what you've done in 500 pics is that you write little things about your macro photography. So I'm going to ask you questions when we get to it, but I'm going to share that with people because I think they really should share, they really should follow you there. Is there any other, do you like Facebook? What is your social media hangout that you really love? Is there a certain place that you like to hang out?
I've been on I've been on Flickr, which I've seen a decline in Flickr usage lately. So I'd say 500px as far as the social photography websites is probably my favorite. But then I keep a blog on my own website. That's probably I keep the most up to date.
Yeah, no, we're going to share that today too. So for sure, we're going to go ahead and get into your website. But before, let me make sure, because I am really bad. Everybody, these are my show notes, because Janice does not do very well just memorizing things. So I just want to make sure. I'm going to say real quick, this show is every other Thursday. So we will be back on this show on the 30th. So we won't have Peter. It would just be little and me. I do want to announce and mark your calendars that we will have my buddy, Scott Norris. He is a really good photographer when it comes to post-processing stuff. I just love the stuff that he does. So he'll be on. So what I do, Peter, is once a month I have a special guest like you. And then the rest of the month is just little me. But I'm honored that you have joined the show and where we can dig in deep. So my first question that I think is really important. I mean, we are photographers. We love to express ourselves, but I want to know, how did you really get into photography? What made you go that route in your life?
Um, I think I have a fairly typical story in the fact that I've had a camera in my hand since I was, I think, 8 years old. I think I started with a Kodak X15, which is for people who aren't familiar, was the 126 format film that came in a cartridge. Um,
I
just
remember.
and actually just last fall I went and found two of them on eBay and bought them and added them to my camera collection, so I could have my very first camera back again. But yeah, that was just snapshots. Then when I went to college, I studied design at the University of Cincinnati, and photography was part of our coursework. And that's when I got my first real SLR camera. I had a Nikon F3 that I still have today. Wonderful workhorse of a camera. And got a little bit more into product photography and event photography, and then actually kind of put photography aside kind of for a number of years. I mean, I still took pictures, but not nearly as much. Started to see digital cameras hit the market, and the quality wasn't there. And then I finally jumped on board with Nikon when they released the D40 and the D40X, because it was one of the first affordable digital cameras that I thought the quality was on par with film. And really since that switch to digital, my photography has exploded. So I think I take anywhere from 40 to 50,000 frames a year easily.
Yeah, I've gone through your stuff, and yeah, I could see there's a core passion that I'll bring up that I've noticed. But it's so funny that you're saying that, because I remember in college the fight. So I'm a late bloomer when it comes to photography. I'm just like you. I have photography in my life from way back when I was a little kid. My grandpa was like National Geographic, all this stuff, right? And I remember in college, the same thing that you're saying. It was like a fight. Oh, digital sucks. You got to do film. And, you can't, the digital wasn't up to par. It was so slow. And isn't it amazing how much digital has just changed our world? Just like, I mean, my grandchildren are probably, it's going to be amazing when I see the stuff that they do. But yeah, I totally can relate to what you're saying about film and then leading into digital. And it's just amazing on definitely what things have changed, and digital's just blowing it away, which is really cool because we don't have to pay for film anymore. But I do miss the darkroom. Do you miss the darkroom too?
I only did a little bit of work in the darkroom, but for me, I'm a huge fan of the instant gratification of digital. So I have a great friend that we go out and we shoot together, and he shoots film, and he's even gotten into medium format, and he loves the darkroom and taking the time and all that. But I love to see. I mean, I do a lot of post processing, but
Yes.
I'd rather do that. I like to see what I got right away.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I mean, I don't do I love to see the image in the chemicals and all that, but then you have to go in the dark room and you have to do all that stuff. And you're right, the instant gratification, and I am a junkie too. So when it comes to post processing, I love it. So with that said, I'm going to try, everyone, to go ahead and share my screen because you guys all know. Hey, Kim Nervy's here. Oh, I gotta say, these are wonderful photographers, Peter. That I mean, I know that when they see your work and you talk about your stuff, they're gonna suck it in. Matter of fact, Kim just won. Kim, congratulations! You just won a View. Is it View Bug? Oh my gosh, Views. I'm so bad, but she just won like award on. I think it's View Bug. Oh my gosh, Kim, tell me if I'm right or not, but you just won an award for the People's Choice. Congratulations, girlfriend. Oh. So she's going to suck up everything that you say. So I'm
well, the competition on VBug's pretty tough. So that's impressive.
Yeah, no, that's great. I know. I'm so proud of her. She's in my membership program. So
I was gonna say one of the last things I think that's really pushed me is things like 500 is going from the transition of just taking the photographs to putting my work out there. So when I started to develop my website, when I joined 500px and even Flickr to some extent, just, you know, the calling and the, you know, the editorial work that goes into putting my work out there has really helped me improve as well.
True, huh? Because you look at other things and you really pay attention to your composition, your, you know, like, okay, this has got, that's what you're saying. You shoot a lot, but certain things go out, and that's good.
And to pick your top 20 or your top 30 photos, you know, even just in a particular genre, you know, to the or not the dedication, but the, you know, the need to go through and cut out and say goodbye to old images that you used to love that, you know, really aren't in the same caliber.
Yeah, it's a good step. It's a stepping stone that we all have to get to, for sure. Because it's interesting because it's our personal favorites, but yet we know that as we grow, which is what's awesome about photography, you're always growing, you're always learning. And that's what I love about it. It's not stagnant at all. It is time certain things where you're just like, okay, nobody could see that anymore. All right, let me do a screen share because I know everybody wants to see your work because I want to explain to everybody this. Okay, so this is just Peter's main website. We're going to go into a couple of goodies that he has. But before we start, Peter, I'm going to ask you questions. But before we go, before we dive in, I just want to let you know. So what I do is I search macro photographers, and I don't care if they're really, really, you know, up there or really, really not. It's what intrigues me, what really makes me feel. And you made me really love this kind of work. Now we'll share the other stuff. I have this dying question. And is this on Plexi, or did you do a post where you take the bottom part and you copied it? I got to know this.
This is on, well, I'll tell you what the surface is in a second. Yes, this is it's a reflective surface.
Okay.
It is, well, A, it's kind of cheating, but B, it doesn't necessarily always look correct, especially when you're doing something like a close-up with a bug to try to fake a reflection. Because if you think about it, the reflection you're seeing the underneath of the bug that you wouldn't necessarily see straight out of the lens. So now you ask, is this on a piece of Plexi? It's actually technically on a glossy white Chromebook. And you know, it's kind of one of the things that I would say for photographers is for props / studio stuff, you just use what you have. So yeah, I probably should order some glossy Plexi, but I had a white laptop laying around, and I think this is one of the first. Actually, one of my ladybugs is one of the first shots I used the the white laptop for, and it worked out well.
Oh my gosh. I think, is this it right here? This
Yeah,
ladybug that you're talking
that
about?
one.
Oh my gosh, look at everyone. I seriously, okay, I see tons and tons of macro photography. And when I saw the reflection and you taking the pieces like this, and oh my gosh, look at the eyes, look at the, I mean, I seriously was just like, wow, I really, really hope he can go on the show. I mean, we're going to show some beautiful work, everyone, of the other stuff that he does. I'm just letting everyone know what I was really intrigued about because I don't see this very often. So it was really, really cool. And like he's saying, use what you got. Okay, here's another reflective. Well, how did you do this one? I got to know.
What do you think? What do you think that one is?
So,
If the other one was a laptop, what would you think this one is?
a mirror.
It's iPad.
An iPad.
Yeah,
That's
it's an
awesome.
iPad, and I actually think there was a stuffed animal. That orange is actually like a stuffed animal or something that was in the background. That was reflecting off of the iPad screen.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Oh my gosh, that is, see, that is amazing. Look, everyone, don't always just look and see what's around and what you can do. And look at this beautiful work. I mean, it's just great. I have so much to share with everyone. But I want to ask you, let me see. So I want to say, so what is your thought process as you're photographing? Do you have like a vision while you're getting ready to photograph, or do you just go with the flow? I'm just kind of curious in your thought process while you're actually shooting. We'll share some of the work as we're going along.
Well, I think you've already noticed and kind of alluded to the fact that, especially like with the bugs, or you've got the flower page open there. I
Mm-hmm.
do a mix of studio work versus kind of traditional in the field macro work. So I think there is a bit more of a thought process that goes into the studio work as
Mm-hmm.
far as setting up the lighting and getting the lighting exactly how I would like it. Creating the contrast. I actually use depending on the shoot, I either use speed lights or I have full blown studio strobes
Mm-hmm.
that I'll use. So there's a lot more kind of meticulous thought that goes into the studio work.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the angle, these guys with the reflections, getting the reflection I want, the amount of detail in the reflection versus the bug itself. What kind of post processing, will I
Yep.
do on an image like that versus, and quite honestly, a lot of the bugs or the subjects are accidental finds that
Yes.
I bring in. They're live. I shoot live.
Mm-hmm.
I bring in, shoot them, and then release them.
You're awesome. Thank you for that.
Uh, so so there's a lot more thought into the studio work. In the field, I think it's totally different. In the field, it's kind of really all a lot of your brain is first soaked up in just like finding a subject.
Yes.
When it comes to macro, and macro, I particularly like to do bugs. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's going out and not knowing where the bug is, finding a bug that's interesting, trying to get it to be cooperative, and and going from there.
Do you I love these type of spiders. Oh my gosh, I just love jumping spiders. But I wanted to ask you, I mean, do you do you stack, or do you, let's go a little bit into post processing a little bit. So do you stack your images? Or are they all one shot like what you've done here? It's so beautiful. I mean, you've
Um,
captured the whole
this
composition.
this is a single shot. I do stacking as well. I think there's a dragonfly face that's probably a stack of two or three, like that close up of the dragonfly.
This one?
You can't see your
This guy right here?
mouse right in the middle. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
believe
look at that. That's
that's
great.
this is a stack of probably two or three images taken in quick succession. Um,
I love
it was
this.
I had tried actually probably for a couple years to find a cooperative dragonfly in the wild. You're lucky if you're lucky if you get one shot of a dragonfly. So to be able to get a couple good solid shots of a dragonfly and be able to stack them together.
Yeah,
This is an example. This is a single image. It's not a stack. I shoot at a high f-stop, so gear wise, I can't remember what I was using when I took this image, but I use a Tamron SP90, and I have that thing cranked all the way up to like f35.
And that's great, because you're not even getting a lot of yeah, it looks great. Well, you know what I noticed about you, Peter, is that you really do focus on the eyes. You're all over the eyes, which look at this. Look at everyone. Hello. This is beautiful. I mean, to see the eyes like this, you are like an eye man.
Well, and I think for macro photography, a lot of these bugs, you're not going to get the whole, unless they're dead or they're stationary for some reason, you're generally not going to get the whole bug in focus, depending on what angle you're approaching the bug at. So I think the key is to focus on the eyes. I think the other thing is, you'll notice, is I try to get down at eye level with the bug. I think a lot of newer photographers, and their shots will look a little bit more pedestrian because they're taking it more from like that 6 foot high human perspective, where it's much more interesting if you can get down eye level or even below eye level with the bug.
Yeah, I love this. See, it's right in the middle, taking all the goodies for its life. Right here, you can see it. I mean, but you've got that eye, and it's so important for us to see the eyes. It really is. I mean, look at this, everyone. I've shared a couple of your images, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And do you use a flash on these, or how do you
yes.
How do you grab? You do. We'll go in the equipment section in the actual show. When you post process, let's talk about that a little bit. So what is your post? Let me go back in here. I could be here forever. Seriously, I do this all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh. But when you do your post processing, what is your, I mean, do you have a vision, or you just go for it?
Go to the bug section for a section.
This one right here? Okay.
Yeah. Just pick any of the studio ones.
Let's see.
Maybe the guy up top.
Up here?
The newest one. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. Look at that. All the hairs and the colors and oh my gosh, it's so beautiful.
So, the image is pretty much straight out of the camera. When you're working macro, especially at a high f-stop, dust on your element or dust anywhere becomes a huge factor. So, the first post-processing would be to go in and clean up any dust. And when you enlarge a bug this much, they might look clean, but when you enlarge them, they're not necessarily as clean as you'd like. So there's quite a bit of cleanup that goes on, just dust removal. And then I'll go in with a couple curves layers in Photoshop, and this one's a good example where I'll do a darkening curve layer. And like where you see each of the valleys in the segments of this caterpillar, I'll go in and I'll darken that a little bit, and I'll use a lightening curve layer to add a little bit of highlight, just to give the bug a little bit more dimension and three-dimensionality on the page.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, it is all about the dimensions that you do. I mean, you can really see. Look at how beautiful, you guys. Look at the eyes here. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I really do hone in to your eyes. I mean, it's like we see and they see us, and then you have the rest of the composition. That's what I'm seeing from your work that really inspires me to just enjoy everything that you produce. I mean, like I said, I love jumping spiders, and you've really focused in, and I love the way they look. That's why I was wondering if you asked. That's why I asked you if you had like a flash or anything. And
yeah, so equipment for me has been a progression. I started using a handheld speed light. So just just a speed light on like a 2-foot cord.
Okay. Okay.
You talk about an acrobatics as far as holding your camera in one hand, speed light in the other. Trying to physically move in and out and take pictures. And then I think I've included a photo from, we'll talk about it later. Now I use the twin. The twin macro flash.
We'll show that to them now.
Yeah. So I don't think Venus actually makes this, but Venus Optics markets this as well as a couple other people. But this is an awesome twin strobe macro light, and then the center element there is a focusing lamp that stays on the whole time.
So you could get it focused. Yeah, that's great. It's like, that's really cool.
But for the longest time, I used a really cheap, really affordable speed light, until I kind of pushed it to its limits and knew what I wanted. And then on the lens side, I actually started with using a manual 50 millimeter lens that I've had for over 20 years. And a reversing ring that I got for $10 off of eBay.
Oh, that's cool. We'll talk about that in the equipment segment, because I actually love reversing the lens too. So that's really cool. I was I just shared. I mean, it looks like you're getting into some snowflakes too, which is really hard to do. How did you do this?
Well, you'd be standing out in very cold weather. I actually haven't been able to shoot. The weather and timing hasn't participated very well the last couple of years. I haven't shot as much snowflake work as I like to. I like to do it a lot, but it's it takes some pretty cold weather, which we get decent weathers in Ohio, or we get decent winters in Ohio, but there's a certain temperature that creates the kind of right type of snowflakes that are photo worthy, and it's kind of few and far between. So living in California, snowflakes
doesn't happen here. So I
use a similar method to Dawn, where I use black felt to catch the snowflakes, and then I actually also have an old school focusing bellows that I can attach to.
Oh, that's cool. Bellows are awesome. I love bellows. You know what we're gonna do now? We only have one photo, so I tell Peter that people get shy. I have one image. I only allow 2 images on the show because we really want to talk about the photographer. Becky's saying that your work is awesome. Yes, it is.
Thank you, Becky.
So what we want to do now is we only have one image to critique. So we're going to go ahead and go to critique time. And then this way, because I really do want to dip into your equipment for sure. Let's get into a quick equipment. Okay, we're back. I screwed it up. I want to get into critique time. I said equipment and then critique. Who knows? But I'm going to get into Lightroom. And what I'm going to do is I'll do another screen share. And Peter and I are going to critique the image that was submitted. We only got one. I like 2. So come on, you guys. What I want you to do is you can submit your images on our Facebook group. This person was in our professional macro photography group. So thank you so much for doing that and submitting. We'll share his information. His name is Justin Cook. And so, Peter, what you and I are going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share the screen again. And then I'll read what Justin's goals are and how he shot it. And then you and I will critique. Just to give, because everybody, I love doing, it's not really so much a critique. It's just like, what are your goals? And as a photographer that loves macro photography, how can we help you to push you over the comfort zone? Because that's what we all do, truthfully. So you ready to do that?
Sure.
All righty. Let's get over and let me make sure that I do another screen share. And right now I'm going to still show Peter's work. And then once I get there, let me go into, there we go. Yay. Okay. So let me read Justin's information. So Justin, first of all, thank you so much for sharing your awesome image. He shot this with ISO 100. Now, he has a shutter speed of 400. So Justin, you said f-stop 5. I think it's probably maybe a 4.5 or 5.6 because I know this because he has a Rebel and I'm a Canon woman. So it's probably around that area. But he used the 18 to 55 millimeter lens for his macro shots with the extension ring if they sit still, which we were laughing about because you were saying that too. They have to be happy with us. So he says he likes to use his photos to show people the beauty of macro and the details that can be overlooked. And he uses the T5 Rebel for now. And again, that's what I love about macro photography. I think we all are in a fast-paced life. And just sharing Peter's stuff, and now we're sharing Justin's to really get into detail of close-up work because we do just kind of go crazy and not stop. So us macro photographers, it's our job to share this world of people that would not normally see what you see when you're walking down the floral garden is what we're seeing right now. So I normally just go ahead and let you dive in first, and then I will go in first. So he wants to see the beauty of, he wants to get his details of macro and get it out to the world. So do you have any suggestions for Justin when it comes to this piece right here that he's working on?
Looking at this piece, it's this subject presents some interesting challenges. I think, first of all, when you trying to get 2 bugs, it's hard enough to get 1 bug in the frame to participate, but when you start to get 2 insects, it gets even harder. For me, my work's different than some people, but my work is about a focal point, especially when it's on the macro, on the macro work. So the two bugs are kind of fighting for attention. That would be kind of one of the first things. His settings that he mentioned, the settings that he submitted, I think are kind of interesting in the fact that that means he's using ambient, with the f4, being on a more open f-stop. This is most likely an ambient light photograph.
Yes.
And one thing to think about is it's what was his shutter speed? I'm sorry.
His shutter speed was it was at 4. Okay, so his ISO was 100 and 400. So I'm assuming that it's 1/400th of a second. So. Okay.
So I mean that's going to stop the action quite a bit. But when you start using a flash, the duration of a flash, especially if the flash is on a lower power setting, can be like 1/10,000th or 1/20,000th of a second. So that's something that's real. If you start to use an off-camera flash, that will really help your tighten up your detail, especially on the bug.
Yeah.
And what it would also do is it would darken up. If you started to use the flash, it would darken up that background, which is taking a little bit away from it's taking away from the focus on the main butterfly there.
Yeah. So I like that suggestion because when you use a flash, you're light source, especially when you're getting close up, the light drops really quick, Justin. So this way, what Peter's saying is that background will darken and your focal points will be right up in our face. Yeah, for sure. That's a great tip.
So, and that would also, using the flash would let them crank that f-stop from f4 to like, at least f11 or f16. With that type of lens, I think would totally be doable. And then, generally if you want to get as much of a butterfly in focus as possible, this is a good example where from here, I would personally bring the camera down and to the right and be trying to hit the side of that butterfly to get that whole wing nice and sharp.
Gotcha.
Get the eyes, and focus on the eyeball.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
But he actually has really good. I mean, I'm really impressed with. It seems like the majority of the wings in that front eye are sharp.
Yeah. It's 2 to 1.
He's got lots of nice detail. And I'm not sure. The only other thing I would question is, if Justin did any type of post-processing, especially like sharp, it feels like it's been sharpened quite a bit, and I don't know if he's cropped this image and pushing up against kind of the pixel limits, or whether it's over sharpened a bit. But
I think he has, because look, if I go to fit and then I go to 1:1 over here, it doesn't really do that much. So I have a feeling that Justin's cropping it. And so, yes, everyone, pay attention. When you crop, that's exactly what happens. I mean, you lose what, that's perfect what you're saying. So once you crop, see what happens is, look at if I want to get up close, I have to go to 2:1. So I have a feeling that he's cropped this image. Now he's in our group, macro group, and he has some really great images. So I feel like he definitely has some questions about this for sure. So you've gotten some good tips, Justin. I don't know if he probably will watch this. He already liked and was very happy that you're going to talk to him about his image and stuff like that. So you've given some great tips. Anything else you can think about before I have one tip?
Well, I mean, this would get me on my bandwagon of whether this is macro photography or not. I think it's a great picture of some butterflies on some flowers, but I see this in a lot of like contests and online talk shows when they choose to cover macro photography. You get a lot of, and I take pictures of butterflies on flowers, and maybe even a butterfly and a flower with a meadow in the background, and those are great photographs, but one can start to debate whether it's macro photography or whether it's just nature photography.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with either one, but
yes.
I stick to pretty close to a purist of kind of 1:1 ratio, or even a lot of my work gets into what some people would classify as micro photography.
Yeah. Well, this show is close up, macro, and micro, but I do agree with what you're saying, because if you're so Justin, if you're shooting to get macro and you're cropping, then it's time for you to think about a 1:1 macro lens, because if we're doing close-up work, you're not going to crop it so much. That's your composition. So I totally understand. If you want to it looks to me that Justin wants to get to the 1:1, so he's cropping. So save some of your money, and really the lenses are cut to help you, or reverse the ring, which we will talk about in a second when we get to the equipment section. But
I have a real affordable option that I use that could possibly benefit him depending on what lenses he has as well.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect.
But are you able to crop? I'm not sure what program. Are you in Lightroom?
Yes, I'm in Lightroom right now.
I would crop if you wanted to focus on the butterfly. I have this on my other screen, and I have it cropped in, probably with like an inch or so, inch to an inch and a half on each side of the main butterfly.
Yeah, yeah.
And it just, even that, even like cropping part of the butterfly cropping some of the butterfly on the right off.
Oh, let me try that.
Just brings the focus a lot more onto that main insect.
Well, you know what I found that was really cool. Okay, so let me show you what I thought was really cool about macro. So I cropped it in. I like that's what I suggested too. But look, if he got the 1-to-1, see, let me just crop this. This is what I loved. Do you see how? Oh shoot, let me go to 2-to-1. Is that 2-to-1? Look at how they're holding each other's hands. Do you see that? Oh my gosh. Hold on. It's like they're holding each other's hands.
Yeah,
I would like totally, let me see if I can even get in closer to this. I thought this was so cool. Oh wow, that's really close. But let me look. See, look, they're holding each other. So if you had a 1-to-1, oh my gosh, you could just focus on that moment of them holding it. Can you see how crazy that is? They're like holding. This is what's so cool, why I get so excited about macro. If he really had the lens like you're saying, Peter, and getting up close like this and even going to micro, oh my gosh, you'd be able to really focus on the feeling of this amazing moment that nobody else would feel. So cropping and getting up close, that's a great moment right there.
It just brings cropping like you have right there. It just brings more of the focus onto the butterfly, and less about the flowers around it.
True, and the flowers are pretty, but it's really about what you said, what he wants, and he's saying he wants to see what other people overlook. Well, you would totally overlook that if we're walking by. So yeah, that's a great critique. Okay, let me get out of screen sharing, and I'm probably going to screw it up. There's your website again. Let me stop screen sharing and make sure. Okay, so we're back on. We're back together. So I hope, Justin, this has helped you. I know that Peter's giving me some great tips, and definitely check out and save. Or wait, let's just go right back to let's go to the equipment section, AD, so we can get into some fun stuff. Okay, so we're going to talk about equipment. So what do you have? Tell me, what do you love when it comes to your equipment, when it comes to photographing what you've done? Do you have stuff to share with me, or?
Well, I included 2 images in there for you. One was that Venus Optics twin flash.
Okay.
Which
I see.
Which I've absolutely fallen in love with. And the biggest benefit with that twin flash is that's let me free up my hands. So,
this right here.
Yeah. And first, this is just how they photographed it. But, usually I'll have those kind of up high, one on the right, one on the left. Left is usually full power. The one on the right, I might have it like half power or quarter power. And I'm trying to imitate the sun, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
I've used and I have a review of like ring flashes for macro photography on my website.
Okay.
I don't think those produce a lot harsher light typically, and it's light that's coming like straight from the camera, and it doesn't feel as natural. So so I for the style that I like, for whether it's out in the wild or some of the shots that you've shown of jumping spiders, those have actually been inside quote studio shots on like a tulip or something like that I brought in the house and played with the bug, for lack of a better term, on the flower. Those are studio shots, but with the twin flash, trying to create something that feels natural.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I love that twin flash because it lets me have one hand on the lens to help focus, and the other hand steadying the camera. Out in the wild, it can let me hold on to a plant and try to steady a plant that's blowing in the wind, and have my camera in the other hand.
Yeah.
So, because with macro photography, it's really beneficial if you had 3 or 4 hands some days.
I know, seriously, I know. I love my plamp. I have a plamp. Is this something that you have? Okay, so what is this?
So this is one of the cheapest, nicest accessories that any up-and-coming macro photographer can buy. So there's a company out of Japan, I believe, maybe China, hopefully Japan, I think.
It says made in Japan, so I think it's Japan.
There we go. Okay. Yes. So, but Raynox out of Japan makes a series of different multipliers. So I use the DCR 250. I learned this from a great macro photographer out of Canada. And the nice thing is you can put this adapter. Now here in this image, it comes with a spring-loaded adapter. It comes with a spring-loaded adapter that can fit on, I think, any lens up to like 77 millimeters. Now what I've done is I've bought a set of step-down rings to make it, rock solid on my lens. And this, I think it's a diopter of 2.5 or 4. I'm not an optics expert, but like this example, and if the viewers take a look at my review of this on my website, this is on a 80 to 200. Your modern lens equivalent would be like a 70 to your 70 to 200 2.8. You can put the focal distance on a 200 millimeter lens is probably several feet, maybe 3 feet, 4 feet.
Yeah.
When you put this Raynox on the front of the lens, you can bring your focal distance down to a matter of inches.
So you're not reversing your lens, you're just adding that to the lens? Is that what's happening? Because I've never even seen that before.
Right. With the Raynox, you're just adding it to the front. And if you scroll down just a little bit.
Okay.
I haven't done a ton.
Oh, there it is.
Nope, one more.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Oh, it's just adding to your lens.
Yeah. So if you click on that real quick, I can show you.
Okay.
There is.
Oh, there it is. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's like 60. I think it's like $60.
Hey guys, check it out.
It goes on any lens. The effect is going to be different. What people always ask. I get a lot of views to this review and a lot of questions, and people always kind of asking, what's it going to do on my lens? The unfortunate answer is the result's going to be different on each and every lens based on your focal length. So it's gonna work different on a 200 millimeter lens than it is
compared
on a 100 millimeter lens versus a 55 millimeter lens.
Oh, and it has adapters.
If you think you're going to put it on a 55 millimeter lens, if you think you're going to put it on a 50 millimeter lens and get this huge multiplication, you're not. But if you have like a 100 millimeter lens, if you have like a 100 millimeter kit lens or a 200 millimeter kit lens, and put this on the front, I've got some sample images down below of one of the few times I've taken a picture of a dead bug. But
this one's dead. It doesn't look dead.
Stink bug's alive, but there's a dead fly down below.
Okay, we'll keep going, guys.
And this dead fly. This is
yes, he is dead.
That's taken with a 200 millimeter lens.
No
shit. And that is uncropped.
Whoa! No way. Oh my gosh! I'm learning something new. This is so amazing.
So the great thing with this little Raynox adapter is you can take any kind of standard lens, and for $60, $70, also you automatically have a macro lens.
Oh wow, guys! Oh, this is cool. We'll have to put your link of this review below the show notes, and also the link to this adapter. Is this how you shot this guy then with this?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Wow. This is beautiful.
Then
Okay.
so now I have that Tamron 90 millimeter macro lens, which is just that is an awesome lens. It is as sharp can be. It goes down to f2.8, so you can use it for, if you're trying to be frugal, you can use it for portrait. You can use it as a portrait lens. But then it goes down to 1:1, and then you add this adapter, and you can go even closer.
And you can go really closer, and you can, like what I'm seeing here, like look at how sharp this is, you guys. And if you want to stack later on or whatever, oh, this is great. This is great. I have never even seen that before. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. And I love this. I love this image right here. It's not popping up because I just messed something up. But anyways, this one's beautiful. Oh, great, great, great. I'm so excited. Is there anything else that you want to share with us? I'm like going all over the place, so I don't even know where I'm at here. Is there anything else?
From a gear person, I'm a Nikon person, but it doesn't. I always see the debates online. People are like, I'm thinking of switching. Should I switch? And it doesn't matter. I know people who do macro photography with Panasonic and Nikon and Canon. So but there's that ring light that I've tested and done a review of, and I find the light a lot harsher on those ring lights. You get a lot more, especially if you're taking a picture of something like a ladybug, which has got a shiny shell. You're gonna get a lot more glare. Yeah,
you got to put some kind of something on there to tone that down. Yeah,
it's really hard that even my twin macro flash, I have diffusers that I've built out of white poly that go over the top of each of the flashes.
Yeah, right in here, people, because it does get harsh. Otherwise, you're in post-production trying to clean that all up. Awesome. It's awesome. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited, Peter. This is great stuff. I can't wait to check out that stuff.
And I used to be, I think one thing to tell people, I used to be afraid, just a couple of years ago, I was afraid of using flash. I was never really trained. I was trained on like constant light. So you just try it and practice with it. It's not rocket science. It's not that hard.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think people get really intimidated at first, but you just with anything, when you're first starting out on something, you just got to focus, just keep playing. And really photography is about light. So what you're sharing here about getting close up and then sharing the external flashes, because if you, like Peter's saying, if you're doing something that's moving, you got to stop that action. And that's the only way, unless you're getting up real early. And I need my coffee really early. So it's really hard for me to get up early.
Yeah, and actually one of the reasons I started getting into flash is because I started to learn that it's not necessarily, I got into photographing hummingbirds, and it's not necessarily shutter speed. If you really, really, really want those sharp hummingbird photographs, I shoot the hummingbirds at like 1/200th of a second or 1/250th of a second. So it's not the shutter speed that's freezing the motion. It's the fact that those flashes are set. I use small like pocket speed lights, a bunch of them. I use pocket speed lights, but they're on like 1/64th power, which is a really short burst light, and that effectively becomes your shutter speed versus what you actually have the camera set at.
Yeah, see, great tips for sure. Yes. I want to ask you how, we are such a busy life, all of us. So I want to ask you, how do you keep yourself motivated? You've got some really great images. You've got some really good stuff. And I noticed that you are a very family man, which is really awesome. And you are very into your wife and your children. And that is that's awesome. So you have a very full life. So how do you keep yourself motivated? Because, we all go through those ups and downs of photography. So we go through the phases. So how do you push yourself to say, I'm going to go out and photograph, or I'm going to post process? How do you get those through those humps, just to give people some suggestions if they go through that stuff?
Well, one of the things that's really helped the last few years is I have a couple good friends that I work with that we basically have a lunchtime photo group. So, at lunch 2 or 3 times a week, we'll pack up and hit one of the local parks and go shoot photographs at lunch. I'll be honest, we don't necessarily usually get our best work at lunch, but at least we're getting out and we're practicing. And then when it comes time to really do some photography that, is meaningful, that's not when you're practicing.
Yes.
We've practiced at lunchtime, and then, when you find that special bug or you find that special bird that you hadn't seen, it's muscle reflex. And so I've got a good group of friends that, we go out and do photography together. Ohio, the nice thing is the changing, when you see my website, I don't just do macro photography because the seasons in the Midwest push different topics on us. So the fall is a great time to do, the fall when the bugs are dying is a great time to do landscape photography with the colors. Wintertime comes and try to do some snowflakes if the weather participates. In the spring, the birds are migrating through, and then, after the birds migrate through, it's bug season. So.
Yeah, that's great though. But you keep yourself going, and there's always something to look forward to. But that's great though, to photograph with people that you enjoy, that also enjoy, because we do. It's funny because we do, as photographers. I mean, I could say blue in the face how much I love to. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited! I got this shot, and they're like, and the family and friends are like, okay. But we all feel it, we all feel it. So it's good that you have some photographer friends that you go out and photograph. I've met with some photographer friends too, and it's always been a blast to chat. But my problem is I love to talk. So I'm sitting there talking, and I'm like, oh, when I really have to get serious about my photography work, I really have to be set on my own.
And I haven't done any workshops or anything like that, but I think workshops could be a good alternate as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I haven't done workshops either, but I think that is a good idea to get out. I had Mike Lotes on here, and he does workshops everywhere, and kudos to him. And he says it's a lot of fun, and he enjoys it. And I think a lot of people get a lot out of that too, where you're together and you're photographing with the macro, and you're photographing and talking about it. And then they do like a critique section at the end. So he does some really good stuff. So do you have any projects or anything that you're working on? Do you want me to share anything? What are you up to when you come to your photography stuff? I mean, I am going to share your 500, for sure, because I love the way you talk about what you've done. But is there any projects? Are you doing any creative stuff or anything in the future that you're thinking about? Or
well, we were chatting a little bit before the show started. It's a transition time for me. I'm actually getting ready to start a new job next month. So photography right now, thank you. Photography's been a little bit on the back burner, so I haven't been able to keep my blog up as regularly as I like to. But I'm still working on a collection of studio floral projects that I'm hoping within the next 12 months I have enough to put together a calendar that I'd be happy with on that. And the bugs, I do, when I look at, kind of like you mentioned, when I look at my work compared to other people's work, I think one of the things that makes me different is the studio work that I do with the macro photography. So I like to continue that and do more of that.
Yeah, I have to tell you personally, that's what drew me in. I was like, oh my gosh, because I love all macro photography. Obviously, that's why we're doing the show. But when I see something different, like what you've done with the studio and stuff, I mean, that just floats my boat, because I'm a studio photographer too. That's what I've been trained on. So when I was like, oh my gosh, please, Peter, say yes. And you did. I was like, yay. Because I want people to see other aspects of getting up close to your subject. And I just really love your reflection stuff. I can't tell you enough how much that is just inspires me to bring my stuff in and maybe, I've never done actual bugs in the studio. I've done like flowers and, different kinds of, maybe I've done stuff like this and, whatever the everyday usage, but I've never, one time I tried to bring a bug in and it didn't happen very well. So it was moving too much.
Well, I mean,
I wasn't happy.
I think that's one thing for people who start doing insect photography. Unlike a lot of other photography, you take a lot of pictures. So any one of those portfolio images that I have, I guarantee you there's at least 30 shots of that bug. Sometimes up to like 60 or 100 if the bug has participated and been around long enough. And and I expect to get anywhere from like 5 to 10% of those shots that are even somewhat successful. And then, only put out of that 5 or 10%, only put the best one in my portfolio. So it's not, so it's not like sports photography or portrait photography where, you assume pretty much every shot that you take is going to be in focus. There is a ton of shots that go in the trash can.
See, that's great to tell everyone and to let people know, because I think sometimes, they're like, oh, I suck and I didn't get the shot. But you got to just be persistent and work hard like Peter has and get, like you're saying, just keep shooting and shooting. So I really appreciate that you have told everybody to look, this is how hard it is to get these shots, but you just got to do it. So that's what I need to do next time I bring my little critter in.
Well, yeah, and when I bring like a jumping spider in, I might set it on the plant, and you might leave it there for, I might leave it there for 10 or 15 minutes. First of all, I'm probably getting my camera gear ready, but just you put him on the plant and let him relax and chill out, and he might actually try and hide or whatever, and then when you're ready to shoot, you coax him out a little bit and take some shots.
Oh, that's great tips. But, yeah, thank you so much.
But they like to wander off. They don't like if you shoot live, they like to wander off. They don't like to sit out there. And...
So wait, stay there and pose there.
Caterpillars are a little bit. The caterpillars are nice. They're a little bit slower.
So that's what I need to start with. Okay, everybody start with caterpillars first. But I really do love those jumping spiders. They're so cute. All right. Well, thank you.
But they scare you to death when they jump on your. They'll jump on your lens.
Oh, how cute is that? See, oh, that's cute.
Seriously, what idea?